Benvenuto! Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark, and behind the camera is Wade. Oh, there we go. All right, today we're going to make Franks and beans. Why are we making Franks and beans? Because it's one of my favorite childhood and current comfort foods. There's lots of different recipes out there for Franks and beans. So what do you need with another recipe for Franks and beans? Well, this is the way my mother made it, so it's the way that I make it. So we're gonna get going. I've got my oven set at 375. This is a relatively quick recipe. There's lots of ingredients, or so it looks because we lay them out. But one of the reasons I like to go over the ingredients is because I like to tell you, where you can substitute something or why particularly I use it. All right, so for Franks and beans, one of the most important things we need is Franks. All right, so I've got, I usually use 8 to 10 of whatever your favorite Frank is, whatever's on sale, whatever the case may be. Your favorite hot dogs. We've got B&M, original B&M baked beans. Now, because that's what my mother used. Now, my mother probably used the B&M baked beans because, of course, it was at one time there was a huge factory that made B&M baked beans in Maine, which just recently left the state of Maine, and I'm not quite sure where they're making them. But anyway, the other reason is that was really the only choice in the 60s and 70s. Late 70s or so. We didn't have Bush and all these different flavored baked beans. But again, one of the reasons for going over the ingredients is, do you have to use B&M baked beans? No. Use whatever your favorite canned baked bean is. Hold on one second. I just want to get a little water. Sorry about that. And, you can use such a variety. If you want to spice them up a little bit, use, a bean with some jalapeno peppers or some spice in it. We are going to add a little sugar to this so I don't use a sweetened bean with it. But anyway, that's why we're using B&M baked beans, because that's what my mother used. All right, and this isn't in the recipe, but I'm not sure if we talked about it when I made hamburger and beans or if we actually had it. Do you remember, hon? Was it the brown bread in the can? Did we have it or did I just talk about it?
Talked about it.
All right, anyway, so this is B&M brown bread, yes, in a can. And I remember a few people made a comment about a bread in a can. That's what my mother always had with it, and we'd have a green salad. It's also delicious with cornbread, of course, all right? But we're gonna have that with our supper tonight. All right, so the next thing you need, so I've got my pan heating up, and you're gonna need about 6 to 8 slices of bacon. More if you want. Who doesn't want more bacon? I'm only gonna use about that much of that because this was leftover bacon from earlier, so I've already got a good amount chopped up here. So I just take it and I chop it into about, an inch or so piece. This is gonna, of course, render out its fat and shrink up, but I'll throw that in our pan for now. And I can put this aside for now. So I'm just going to do a little bit of our prep while this is baking up, or sauteing up. I've got my gas on medium, and we just want this to render up its fat and get all nice and browned. And that's probably going to take a good 5-10 minutes. I'm going to turn that down a little bit because I can't watch it closely while we're talking about the rest of stuff. Okay, so we talked about the beans. Another thing you can do with the beans, if you want to make this vegetarian, certainly use any of hot dog substitute that you like. That's a hot dog substitute. I mean, that's the word I want. Because we want the hot dogs in there because it's the shape and the texture. Non-meat hot dogs, right? I'd also use a vegan baked beans. All right, this has got molasses and brown sugar and pork and spices. So that is not particularly vegetarian, certainly not vegan. All right, but you would replace that with just vegetable baked beans, or go to on the website, we have a beautiful recipe for vegetarian baked beans. All right, so then for spices, we need some ketchup. So whatever your favorite ketchup is and your favorite barbecue sauce. We need some yellow mustard. You can use dry if you'd like. My mom always used prepared yellow mustard. We need some salt and pepper. All right, we need some Worcestershire sauce. So again, if you were going to make this vegan, I would substitute the Worcestershire sauce for soy sauce. Almost the same flavor. Worcestershire sauce is made with, I want to say sardines. Truthfully, I never want to read it because I love it so much. I don't want to know exactly what's in it. You could admit it, but we're not going to put a lot of salt in here, so I'd encourage you to use soy sauce instead. We got some apple cider vinegar for a little acidity and taste. All right, and we got some garlic powder, and I add a couple shakes of accent, which is MSG, but if you've got a problem with that or you don't like using it, admit it. Put a couple extra pinches of salt in there. All right, so as far as our onions are concerned, you want to chop up your onion. Of course, I've peeled it. This is a large white onion. You can use yellow onion. I think my mom always used yellow onion. That's what's written on a recipe. But I had a white onion, and I'm just going to roughly chop that. If you want it, disguise it, or if you've got kids that don't like onions, you can leave out the fresh onion. Put a couple, put a good, if you're going to use powdered onion, put a good rounded teaspoon. We love onions, and I don't mind if they don't have to be chopped up really small. All right, so that's our onion done. Now let me push our onion aside. Give our bacon a stir. So once our bacon has rendered and it starts to brown up a little bit, we're going to put our onions in there and get those cooking as well. All right, now as far as the hot dogs are concerned, if this was something you had as a kid, possibly it was in a casserole pan and then just the whole onion, the whole frankfurt was put in there. I like to chop them up in little rings, say 1/2 inch to 1/4 of an inch or so. You can do them any way you want. If you like big pieces, by all means, chop them up in big pieces. But that's about how I like them. All right. Got our onions all ready to go. Now, really, other than this, we're just gonna put everything together. Of course, we're gonna open up our beans. I've got all my tomato sauce and everything in here. It doesn't look that good until it's all nicely incorporated, but I've got all my other ingredients in here. We're gonna use a little bit of salt and pepper as we saute up our onions. Let's see, is there anything else I want to say? Oh, now, we'll go over this again quickly. Before we put it in the oven, I do bake this. You don't have to bake it. Once you get everything together, put it on, leave it on your stovetop, turn it down to, a low simmer, put the cover on it, and let it heat thoroughly through for 10-15 minutes or so. I do like to bake it. That's why I have my oven preheated to 375, and it's a quick, we're just reheating it. Everything is cooked. We're just reheating everything through. But the other thing, the baking, if you put it in the oven, because we're going to put it in uncovered, I think one of the things the brown sugar does is it helps it caramelize a little bit. So the top, because we're in a dry oven, the top will, I don't know if caramelize is the right word, but it will just get kind of that nice stickiness to it. All right, I'm gonna get our bacon to the point where it is, and we'll be back and we'll go on with the rest of the recipe. Alrighty, our bacon is all nice and crispy. Our fat is rendered out. Now we need that fat out to get our onions going. So we got our chopped onion. Get that in there and get it moving around. Right now I'm still on medium heat, medium at least on this burner. Wade has got our beans open for us. Of course, he noticed that I have one can that says B&M Original Baked Beans, and this one says B&M Boston's Best Baked Beans. They're the same. I don't know why the label says a little bit different on the small one. Now, actually, I'm glad I brought that up, because for this recipe, you want about, about 32, 34 ounces of baked beans. All right. So this is a 28 ounce jar. Or if you bought two 15s or two 16 ounce. So the 28 wasn't going to give me the full about 32, 34 ounces that I like. So and they didn't have the smaller one, which is what I would have normally bought. So I had to get the 16 ounce one. So mine's going to have a little bit more than, say, 32, 34 ounces in it, but it'll still be delicious. But try to keep it around 32 ounces. But a little bit more is not going to hurt our recipe. So our onions, what we're doing is we're sauteing them just to get them translucent. I'm going to put a couple pinches of salt. This is kosher salt. Also, I know right at the end I mentioned the light brown sugar. Now you can omit that. Like I said, it helps it. It seems to help it caramelize a little bit. You could also use white sugar if you want. I know I've seen other recipes. They use a lot more. I mean, I've seen recipes where they use as much as half a cup of brown sugar. My mom always used about 2 tablespoons. So what is a translucent onion? Depending upon the type of onion you're using, it'll start to get that nice shininess from your oil you're using, of course, or the bacon fat. And then the translucent, it just kind of, to me, it kind of starts to look a little bit like the color of pearl. And like I said, that takes about 5 minutes, which I think that is right about where I want it. Okay, then the next thing I do is, I thought we might have to cut, but maybe we won't have to. Next thing I do is throw all of my dogs in. And I want to get them just a little bit of color. I think in the recipe, it says to the edges are a little browned. Fly away, onion. It said, let me go. I'm going to put a little bit of water on the bottom there. Just to get up all our nice brown parts. All that nice brown on the bottom. Might need just a tad bit more, a couple teaspoons. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, because it is we've got some liquid from our beans anyway. And that's going to very quickly evaporate. And I'm just going to let those sit there for a minute or two without moving them around, and we should get a little bit of crust on the hot dogs. All right, I guess we will be back in a minute. All right, we've been sauteing our hot dogs up. Now, I don't know if you can see, but see, there's just a little bit of brown on that one. All right, and every little piece has got a little bit of that nice brownness to it. All right, our tomatoes are nice and tender. But I'm gonna turn this down because we want to get all our ingredients in there and get it mixed together before we bring it up to a simmer. By the way, just for clarity's sake, I stand corrected. There is a difference between the big can and the little can. So, get the Boston's Best Baked Beans. All right? I don't know. Wade figured out there is a difference, so thank you. I don't think we're going to notice it, but... All right. So, like I said, I turned that down just a little bit because you want to get everything in here and get it incorporated. And you want to give this a gentle stir so we don't break the beans all up. And we'll get this one. Actually, yeah, this one is a little bit more liquidy than the other one, so. Now, this will feed a lot. I mean, you can serve this, of course, you can use this as a side dish. You can use this as a main dish. Like when I was a kid, we always had it with a salad and brown bread or sometimes cornbread. Also, depending upon when you're looking at it, today is the Saturday before Labor Day 2023. So if for some reason you're going to or not if for some reason, if you're going to a cookout tomorrow or Monday and you're supposed to bring something, this will be a perfect recipe. You can throw this together in a short amount of time. It travels well. So go make it for your Labor Day celebration. So we got all of I got my ketchup, my barbecue sauce, Worcestershire sauce, yellow mustard, vinegar, anything liquidy. I just all mixed together. We got our pepper and garlic powder, and I got my 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And I'm going to give this a nice stir. Like I said, try to be gentle so you don't break the beans all up. And I'm going to bring this back up to medium. And we want to bring this to a simmer, just, so you got gentle bubbles coming up to the top. Because it's only going to spend about 20-25 minutes in the oven. And also while that's heating through, all of your spices and everything will start to incorporate into the sauce. But doesn't that look delicious? To me, that just looks delicious. All right, we're going to bring this up to simmer, and then we'll be back and we'll throw it in the oven. See you in a little bit. All right, guys, you can see we got some nice little bubbles coming up to the top. Of course, I stirred them away. All right, can you see those? Probably not, but it's bubbling gently. All right, let's kind of just give it another stir. Make sure we get all that nice crust on the bottom up. All right, so into a preheated 375 degree oven. Ignore the beeping. On the middle rack. For 25 to 30 minutes till it's all nice and bubbly and hot. Okay, set a timer for 30 minutes.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back and check it in 20, and then it's time for dinner. See you in a little bit. Well, it's been 30 minutes because I forgot to come back and check on it in 20 minutes. Good thing I had the timer on. But anyway, it should be all nice and bubbly and delicious. Let's see. Yep, there we go. Look at all those nice bubbles all over the side. And it looks delicious. I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's just got a little, it's caramelized just a little bit over the top. The hot dogs have browned up a little bit more. All right, now, could you eat this right this minute? Yes. It is 375 degrees. It should be anyway. So I'd let it cool down for maybe 5 minutes. But if you can't wait, dig in. But we're going to wait and take some pictures. So we'll be back and have our dinner in a few minutes. Well, here we are back again, having dinner with you guys. If only you had cooked this and then you're eating this with us, but hopefully you'll do that tomorrow and then you'll watch the ending and think you're having dinner with us, because it would be lovely. We got our brown bread, and of course, just like my mother used to do it, it's got a little bit of margarine, no butter on the brown bread. It was always margarine. I don't know why. Let me taste that. Brown bread is one of those things, if you just take a bite of it out of the can, you might not like it. It needs something savory for you to dip it in. All right.
I'm going to start with the big beans. Beans and franks.
Franks and beans.
Franks and beans.
Oh, beans and franks. Beans and weenies. Lots of, tons of different names.
Wow.
Oh,
Nice.
It's savory. It's
Yes,
a little
it's
sweet.
sweet. Yeah,
It's it's just
Wow.
it's baked beans. Really nice baked beans too. Again, one of my childhood favorites.
Yep. It tastes a little vinegar in it a little bit. Yep.
A little bit of that bite to it. Which you get a chunk of bacon in there. You know, again, this it can feed a lot. I figure this. I'm going to say this recipe will easily feed 6 to 8, depending upon if you have it as a main course with a salad or something. Certainly, if as a side course, even more. Anyway, it's delicious. It's economical, and it's actually quite quick to make. Of course, it seems a little bit longer when we're doing it because, you know, I'm slowly going over each step and so on and so on. Anyway, okay, I've said enough. I'm gonna eat.
Yeah.
Of course, I hope you try this recipe, and if you do, let us know. Okay, all right.
Thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe and check out cherryhillhomecooking.com, and we'll see you on the next video.
Ciao!
Bye. It's sweeter than that was. It's just, yeah.
It's supposed to be sweet and savory, which it is.
Delicious.